Hi, I'm Jamie Schessler, and I'm speaking on the behalf of the affirmative side for Internet censorship. Internet censorship should be utilized as a tool to protect society from harmful posts. This would protect national security, any bullying from sexual orientation to religions, races, or really any targeted group. This would also censor any pornography that could fall into the hands of minors. There would be no violent posts, videos, or comments that could be viewed as vulgar or offensive. Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, things of social networking nature, they try to censor their posts with user flagging, but it's really not very beneficial because there's still a lot of bullying that goes on these sites. By censoring the internet, it would promote equality and a more harmonious society. Censorship is the suppression or prescription of speaking or writing that is deemed obscene, indecent, or controversial. Obscenity is indecency, lewdness, or offensive in behavior, expression, or appearance. This could be in words, acts, expressions, anything that is written. A web filter is a program that screens a web page and determines whether all of the info or just some of the info should be displayed. The First Amendment expression rights are speech, the right to speak freely without government interference, the press to publish news, info, or opinions without government interference. This also allows anyone to write what they want in newspapers, magazines, or even create their own. Like I said, this would be a harmonious society. There would be no discrimination or equality on the internet, and equality is much more important for our modern society rather than the First Amendment. No porn or violence would be available to minors, so this could diminish addictions that were made early on. Any terrorism threats that would be a threat to national security or any citizen's security, those could be tracked to find the source of. And with the increase in terrorism, cybercrime, any bullying, we really need to utilize tools like this to get this down as low as possible. Internet censorship is necessary for national security of the U.S. and the equality of its citizens. Censorship should be utilized as a tool to produce a harmonious society, but would not infringe upon the First Amendment rights. If government can regulate any media, like TV, radio, internet is often categorized with these things, so why is it not when it comes to censorship? And if indecency is not censored, this could fall into the hands of minors without parents knowing. There aren't strict rules on this, and so it really just creates addiction early on. There's a lot of piracy going on, and acts like SOPA and PIPA have been brought down, but this prevents the piracy of music, movies, logos, any copyrighted material that would detract from sales or the economy, which would be classified as interstate commerce, which the government actually has the right to control that too. So there's another thing overturning the First Amendment rights. Like I said, this could track origin of piracy or origin of threats. I now stand for questioning.
So, Jamie, you believe that the filters are foolproof, correct?
Yes.
And that are pornography and posts of violence not also under the First Amendment for freedom of speech?
Yes.
And as well, you stated that the government should also control what is on the internet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Austin Ray, and I am arguing the negative side of internet censorship. First off, internet filters are very defective. They do not catch every detail, and they can overlook words very easily. When an internet filter is put into place, that internet filter usually scans a website for certain words or certain phrases. When it finds those certain words or phrases, it blocks the website or it blocks that image. However, they can be fooled. Many pictures can be put under names, random names, that have nothing to do with the subject, and the internet filter can zoom right over them. Many people can post words on there that might have another meaning that the internet filter doesn't know, and it will skip right over those. Internet filters can also sometimes block educational info. If there's a site that, for example, a site about marijuana and not using marijuana, then the internet filter might scan that website, find the word marijuana, claim it as being bad, and block that site, even though it's an educational site used for stopping the use of marijuana. It also blocks minor things that might not have much meaning in the website. It might have no meaning at all on the website. It might just be a word that is put in there for some other reason. The website or the filter will find that and block that website as well, or block that image. The world is becoming more and more technologically advanced, so why should we block the use of education by using a filter? The internet can never be completely filtered. It is very expansive. It grows every day, and there's more and more information put on the internet. It would be impossible to have a filter that could continually run and search through every website in a reasonable amount of time before someone could access that website. Children can also grow out of using a filter. If a parent puts a filter on a website, then as the child goes up, it can learn. Children learn all the time. They can find out how to disable the filter, or they'll be able to find loopholes on how to get around the filter. Some even learn easy hacking, like just by bypassing the filter. If someone wants to use something, they're going to. For a while, you can put that filter on to keep kids out, but after a while, they'll be able to easily get by the filter if they want. Filters can also be placed, one's family member might place it on another family member, for example, a husband and a wife. That can cause trust issues, showing that one person doesn't trust what the other person does on the internet during their own time. There's also more to the internet than what people believe. They think that maybe the government controls the internet, but that is wrong, that is false. They can control what they put on the internet, but they can't ultimately control what everyone puts on the internet. An easy example for this is picturing the internet as a whole, as an iceberg. On the top layer of the ice where everyone steps on, you have Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, all that, YouTube, all the friendly sites that everyone is constantly on. But then after a while, if you can break into the ice, you get into other websites, more websites that lead to different things such as 4chan and Reddit. They're not something that everyone sees on the internet on a daily basis. It's something that you have to search for. And if you have a special tool, you can break all the way through the iceberg and into the ocean. Once you're into the ocean, that reveals an expansive amount of knowledge and different websites that most people don't even know. And after a while, if you keep on going, you reach the deep internet or the deep ocean, and that is places, websites such as the black market and things that aren't too well known about. When the government last tried to control the internet by the use of SOPA, a group reappeared. Their name was Anonymous. They are a group that showed their prowess in hacking into government sites, banning government officials from using those sites all over the world. Very strategically placed plans that people didn't think were possible, but it happened. 1 in every 4 hackers in the United States works for the government, but even those hackers cannot be trusted. They might be informants, but just because they work for the government doesn't mean that they do everything by the government. Now stand for questioning.
So, Austin, you too admit that there are internet websites out there that are inclined to the black market or even just piracy online.
Yes.
And do you believe that SOPA and PIPA tracks individual users or solely tracks like piracy threats and counterfeit?
They can be used to track both.
If the government regulates calls and texts, and you talked about like everyone we think of in modern society uses cell phones or home phones, and you said that we also use social networking sites. So are these not the same? Are they not closely related? Should government not be able to monitor?
To an extent they can.
And you said that screening on websites that could block out educational use, but if they aren't indecent, why are they registered as that? If there are vulgar, scarring, any kind of extreme posts, Should we allow these to damage citizens, or would we rather be protected against it and take that chance? Because if they are educational, oftentimes they'll be categorized as that.
Well, many websites, educational websites, are still blocked on accident, or maybe just because the filter deems them as so, not because they're educational or not.
Well, if there's still an increase in terrorism, cybercrime, and online bullying, is this not a problem?
It can be, but it can also be easily controlled.
Without internet censors, how can that be easily controlled?
Turn your computer off if you're being cyberbullied.
Clearly, on social networkings, like I said earlier, there's flagging and there are users' options to censor things. But if there's still such an increase, are these really beneficial?
The filtering or the flagging?
The flagging. If it's only by users on the website, if they don't have censors through the company or through that social networking site, is this flagging the most beneficial? Is this how we're going to protect our society?
Well, flagging is not very beneficial depending on who views it and who deems it as being right or wrong.
So, cybercrime. There's $100 billion a year that's lost in cybercrime. By 2017, $120.1 billion is supposed to be lost, predicted to be lost a year. This is a huge increase, almost doubling from 2011 when it was only $63.7 billion a year. 556 million victims of cybercrime a year. That's 1.5 million victims a day who may lose their identity or lose any of their savings. 1 in 10 social networking users fall victim to hacking or spam. 61% of these hackers or spam, they're criminals. They're not web-based computers or web-based scammers. 68% of the losses of cybercrime are unrecoverable. And the U.S. is the second leading nation, contributing to 19.7% of all cybercrime across the world. Censorship should not have a negative connotation. It would protect from obscenity, violence, track IP addresses to locate threats, limit piracy. If there were laws for companies to monitor, government officials could, they could find these censors, they could find the firewalls to protect this society. In modern advancing technology, how should we be able to advance if things like cybercrime, things like bullying are pulling us back, and someone is always being hurt? In an advancing society, we need the advancing protection too. In Britain, there are officials who they're not allowed to censor their internet, but they've put it on there are just companies and self-regulation who can censor this. So if the First Amendment is such a big deal that the government can't get involved, maybe we should have citizens do it. But like I said earlier, even though the government doesn't have the right in the Constitution, who says that we need to go back 200 years to people who could never foresee the internet coming up? We have, in the Constitution, government has the right to regulate interstate commerce, and it is also their responsibility to provide equality to the citizens. Therefore, it's the government's responsibility for their protection for the U.S. citizens. Both these points overturn the First Amendment.
Well, with the cause of flagging, if on a social networking site, if you posted a picture, no matter how inappropriate or appropriate it was, the amount of flags are what deems it as whether it's removed or not. One person can flag it and say it's inappropriate, other people could agree with it, but if they do not click the flag as well, the post would never be removed. As for piracy, in a national poll, a national statistic, whenever a crime was committed, a cybercrime, it took on average 3 months for that criminal to be recognized as committing that cybercrime. And then it also took the time to find out who the criminal was. So all that given time, that criminal was able to run amok, be able to change everything that they